guest is David Barnard, growth advocate at RevenueCat, podcast host, conference regular, accidental mobile industry celebrity, if you will. He's had a front row seat to the evolution of the app economy, and his takes on subscriptions, monetization, and mobile growth have landed him in the Wall Street Journal, New York Times, TechCrunch, The Verge, and It's Giving Thought Leader. So welcome, David.
Thanks for having me. Looking forward to chatting today.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for being here. I want to start with the fact that you were employee number 5 at RevenueCat. What is just the secret to evolving with the company?
Really just openness to change. I mean, if you're going to join a startup as employee number 5, you need to be very comfortable with things constantly changing and evolving around you. Early on, I was working directly for the CEO, and then he asked me, like, "Are you going to build a team? Do you think you're VP material?" And I said, "Heck no, I want to stay in IC." And so we put somebody else. Like, I started reporting to a new boss, and then we hired a VP, and I started reporting to him. But for me, it's been a ton of fun to have new people come on, new ideas come in, and just being willing to adapt with those things over time.
Are you still pro IC over management life, and why?
100%. I really enjoy what I do, hosting the podcast, speaking at events, talking to industry folks on pretty much a daily basis. And if I were managing a team, I would just be able to do less and less of that.
No, totally. Since you talk to a ton of app founders and practitioners, what's a common thread between those that find the most success?
Advantage in distribution, and that can take so many different forms. So, there's apps that are really successful by getting a lot of earned media, by having YouTubers cover the app and getting, mentions in the press. There's founders that are amazing at UGC. There's founders that have great experience running ads and can do that cost effectively and know what it takes. If you're just coming into this having to, pay for Facebook ads and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars learning the same way everybody else is, it is a brutal struggle. But if you have some advantage you can leverage, it just makes a huge, huge difference.
What would you say is an example of an advantage?
I'll give an example that has dawned on me just in the last week. So I vibe coded this app. It was just to prove to myself, what can I, as a non-coder, non-designer, build pretty much 100% on my own. And so I just launched it a few weeks ago, and I've been trying to do some UGC for it. And the UGC just has not really landed very well. I'm working with a platform, an agency to do it. And then what dawned on me, the more I dove deep into UGC, is that the perfect person to do UGC for this app is my wife.
Oh my gosh.
She is a licensed therapist and a registered play therapist, even has worked with kids for years. And the app I made was actually an app kind of for my kids. So it's about building character. And so the perfect UGC for this would be, and I saw a bunch of videos once I started doing the research on Instagram and TikTok, where the lead was I'm a licensed therapist, here are the lessons I wish I knew, or here's the things I tell most parents or whatever. And that kind of appeal to authority really does very well on social, because you have a real expert, sharing parenting tips. And so I think this applies, and people who are leveraging this are seeing a ton of success. I know quite a few founders who are partnering with creators who are experts in the field. So financial experts working with a financial app. I know people who are doing affiliate, where they use those experts in affiliate deal to promote their app, and leveraging expertise in the field, and then kind of appealing to that authority in the ads, in the UGC and everything else. I think it is a great example of that kind of leverage that you can have as a app builder.
Yeah, I love that. So RevenueCat recently put out a State of Subscription Apps report. I was curious if there were any trends in there that surprised you.
The biggest surprise looking at the report this year was around the difference between hard paywall and freemium. And I always knew, hard paywalls do convert to paid better because you're forcing people to pay. And so with freemium, the idea is you build an audience over time, that audience shares with other people and they convert over time. But then the thing that I was actually most surprised at is that in 1 year retention, the hard paywall versus freemium was essentially equivalent. So even though you're forcing people to pay, you're not seeing a massive retention hit at year one anyway. And I don't think, just to throw this out there, I don't think it means that everyone should be doing a hard paywall. I think that still needs to be a very conscious business choice. And a lot of apps that started hard paywall ended up moving to freemium as they got bigger. And wanted to attract that bigger audience and get the word of mouth going. So freemium versus hard paywall is still a very important decision. Don't just automatically go with hard paywall because of those stats. Yeah. But the stats are crazy.
Yeah, because I definitely would have expected, okay, yes, hard paywall gets you more up top, but they're going to say, wow, why am I paying for this pretty soon? But it's amazing that they're able to establish enough value to keep those users. Do you have feelings about who a hard paywall is a good fit for?
I'd say it probably should be the default for new apps right now, just to kind of prove, are people willing to pay to get that early revenue? Unless you think something can go viral. And so the next app I'm going to be vibe coding, I'm specifically going to make it freemium because I think it can go viral. And if it goes really viral and I don't have a lot of costs associated, which this app I won't, I can give a lot away and get way more word of mouth with a freemium app where people actually get value than a hard paywall app. It's much harder to truly make a hard paywall app go viral because people just aren't going to share. So I think that's probably the one of the big yes or no questions you should ask yourself before you do hard paywall versus freemium. It's do I have a shot at a lot of word of mouth or virality or something like that? And then maybe you should lean a little more freemium.
Awesome. So we were just talking about those amazing retention stats for hard paywall. Do you have an app that is in mind that is absolutely crushing retention right now?
I'd say an app called Flighty, and they're a flight tracking app. It's actually done by a friend of mine in Austin, and it's just one of those apps where, once you kind of get it and experience the value, if you're a frequent traveler, and it has crazy retention because once you feel that value, it's you don't want to fly without it.
Well, I have to download Flighty then. Thank you for the hot tip. And speaking of being a frequent traveler, you certainly are. I know you go to a lot of mobile conferences. A favorite from this year so far?
I was going to say MAU because it is just the biggest and the best in the kind of mobile industry. But I'll have to selfishly say RevenueCat's App Growth Annual Tokyo. It was my first time in Tokyo, so it was just such a magical experience. And the Japanese people are just so fun. And being in Tokyo and just the experience of the whole thing just blew me away. So favorite was definitely our conference in Tokyo, but MAU is a close second because it's just the biggest, brings people in from all around the world and so many great people there.
Awesome. Okay, well, I'm very jealous that you got to go to Tokyo. It is so high on my list. So you've talked a little bit about vibe coding apps, building apps. I know you talk to a lot of people that build apps. What's something about building apps or talking to people that has taught you about human behavior overall?
I think my biggest lesson, I've been doing this 18 years now, is just that people don't read. And it's just something, when you're crafting your app and you're doing your onboarding, you're creating a paywall, it's you want to communicate with them in words, but people aren't going to read your words, and you have to find other ways to communicate with them through visuals, through videos, through bullet points. You just have to be very, very sparing with your copy and then write it in a very scannable format because people are not going to actually sit and read a block of text.
It's so sad, but yeah, our attention spans have gotten a little shoddy. I think that applies beyond just building apps these days.
100%.
All right, now we have a little fun section where we do some rapid style questions. I want to start because we're fresh off of WWDC. And I love people's take on this. Is the Vision Pro cool or lame?
Phenomenal, not just cool. I love the platform. I got one day one when you could purchase them, and the platform needs work. Apple said, and I think it's so true, they just kind of pulled something out of the future, and I'm very excited about that future over the next few years, even if the platform hasn't fully delivered on the hopes and dreams we've all had for it.
Well, that's a very rave review. Okay, so next, consumer app that you wish you had built.
I'll go with Flighty again because it has such great retention. If you're in consumer and you don't have good retention, everything is harder. And so Flighty is just, it's won Apple Design Awards. It's doing very well financially. It just, people absolutely love that app. And so I think, almost anybody in the industry should or will answer Flighty because of those things. It's just such a great app, such great retention, and it's just doing really well.
Okay, cool. And similar to that vein, what's the last app that genuinely impressed you?
I'd say Ladder, and anybody who's listened to my podcast will know I talk about them a lot. I've had the CEO on the podcast twice now. But they're just crushing it. And the thing that impressed me lately about it is that they introduced a whole new feature, nutrition. So it's about workouts, and they added nutrition to the app, which finding that secondary product market fit and getting people to actually use it is really tough, and they just crushed it. They did such an incredible job bringing a whole new use case and feature into the app.
How would you say adopting that second element felt? Did it feel natural?
So, yeah, funny enough, I don't personally use the nutrition, but they've shared stats around that, and it's very impressive the uptake that they have had. But yeah, I'm an avid user, so it's 3 to 4 workouts a week, and I'm on a 22-week streak since the beginning of the year. So
gamification in those apps is so genius. You just don't want to lose your streak.
I was never a streaks guy. I've said it on my podcast multiple times. I think I even told the CEO, like, I'm not a streaks guy, but like it seems like it's working for you guys. And then I started getting into the app, and now like I'm hoping to get a full year of working out at least 3 times a week.
Well, rooting for you. I know you can do it. I know we talked about an Austin-based app, but I know we're also kind of in the Austin area. So I want to hear your take on the biggest misconception about Texas.
We all wear cowboy hats and cowboy boots and are very country. I am so not country. I've never owned a pair of cowboy boots. I've never owned a cowboy hat. So yeah, we're a very diverse set of people here in Texas.
And as you can see, no hats here. When I was studying over in Australia, everyone was just baffled that I didn't ride a horse to school. I was like, what on earth? What do you think Texas is? So yes, it's very common. Okay, and lastly, if you could instantly master any non-work related skill, what would it be?
Singing. Growing up, my family is just terrible. Like, happy birthday. It's just like ear piercing, and I've just never been very good at singing, and it's just one of those skills. Like, it's so cool if you can just rip a few lines or go in karaoke and actually be good instead of embarrass yourself. So that's one I would love to instantly pick up on. I actually just had the podcast guest on who has a singing app that I need to get into. So I may start working on this skill, but I don't think I'm going to acquire it just overnight like that.
So the app teaches you how to sing? Like it's one
Yeah,
of
it's the Simply series of apps. So Simply Piano, Simply Voice, Simply Guitar. So yeah.
Okay, so once you get into the Simply Singing app, then your future happy birthdays with your family can be solos.
There you go.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing all these insights and having a little fun with us here today. It was a pleasure chatting with you, and we'll see you all next time.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, David.